I'm Hannah Levin. This is the home stretch, only here on 91.3 FM, KXCI Tucson. And boy, I am so excited that we have this group of artists in the house. Brownout is visiting us from Austin. Their new album is entitled Fear of a Brown Planet, and it is their loving interpretation of the associated album by Public Enemy, Fear of a Black Planet. They have had a fascinating history as a band. They've been together 15 years and backed up everyone from Daniel Johnston to Prince. Yep, that Prince. And we have them all sequestered and cozy in the Studio 2A. We're going to go over there to them live whenever you are ready, guys. Take it away. Gesundheit. Brownout live from the KXCI studios at Armory Park. They are on tour in support of their new album, Fear of a Brown Planet. What a joy to have you all here. All, let's see, 1, 2, 3, like 9 of you are here. Welcome to the show. I'm going to have to make one of you talk to me.
Yeah, I'll
welcome. Would you mind doing just a quick little round of introductions, just so there's so many people working their faces off in here. Let's give credit to who's playing what. Could we do that?
My name is Adrian Casada, and this is Brownout. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
There's going to be a fight in the van on the way home.
I just wanted to save you some time. That's John Speece on drums. That's Sweet Lou on the congas. Matthew Holmes Speedy Gonzalez on trombone, Gilbert Lariaga on trumpet, Josh Levy on baritone saxophone, Alex Marrero on percussion, Peter Sobczynski on keyboards, and Beto Martinez on guitar.
Fantastic. So you did this album not long after doing a different interpretation of Black Sabbath as well, Brown Sabbath. And my understanding is that the original goal was to get back in and work on some original material, but the possibility was suggested to you of taking a crack at Public Enemy and reworking it, reimagining it. That must have been a big shift to make if you were kind of all ready to go back in and do original stuff. What was compelling about tackling Public Enemy? Because I would imagine that sounds both exciting and a little intimidating.
It was both, for sure. We had actually in between there, we released an EP of original music called Over the Covers. And we had already started a new record of original material, which we're wrapping up right now, as we speak. It's being mixed. But in between there, we got approached about doing this record. And like you said, it sounded exciting and something we couldn't pass up. So, yeah, it was a little bit intimidating at first, for sure.
So what was like in terms of like going in and tucking into each song and figuring out what you were going to do with it? That just seems like you could go in so many different directions because you guys aren't doing, faithful renditions. You're doing it, frankly, in the right way as far as I'm concerned, making it your own and reimagining it. Was it a very collective process? Was someone in charge of maybe breaking down arrangements? How did that work in terms of tackling?
Yeah, we had to approach it. We wanted to make it musical and have the songs stand on their own, as we don't have Chuck D, we don't have Flavor Flav, and it's instrumental. It felt like a cop-out to just copy it exactly because we're not going to beat the record and you can go back and just listen to the original, so why would we, bother with that? So what we did was just broke it down. They're so layered with so many samples, but we break it down to the original bass sample for each groove, which was music that we were heavily influenced by when we started Brownout anyways. So we'd break it down, record that, practice that in the studio, kind of rehearse and work on loose arrangements, record them at the rhythm section and just send it down the Brownout assembly line. We'd send them over to Speedy, our trombone player, and he would arrange some horns on top of that. Record the horns that would add the melody to it, that would make them, stand on their own, as I mentioned. And then Peter Sobczynski would add some keys and bring in kind of more of the noisier elements that you hear on a lot of that Bomb Squad production, and then kind of piece it all together at the end. So it just kind of went in this big circle through the Brownout assembly line. But it was like no other record we had ever done. It was definitely a first-time unique process for us.
Well, it probably helps to have a record that's, this beloved. I'm guessing everyone in this room, myself included, grew up listening to that album over and over, and it almost kind of gets encoded in your DNA. So it's great that you had the opportunity to work from an album that was something that had been dear to you for so long. What are we going to hear next?
Next is Louder Than a Bomb.
Oh, excellent. Take it away. This is Brownout, live on KXCI. You're listening to Brownout live on KXCI's home stretch, live from Studio 2A here in Armory Park, doing their version of Public Enemy's Louder Than a Bomb, taken from their album Fear of a Brown Planet. They're in town playing at 191 Tool this evening. That was fantastic. Thanks again. Before we get into your last song, I did want to ask you, since you were revisiting an album that came out, it's kind of hard to believe, but it's almost 30 years old. Came out back in 1990. And many of the themes that are involved in making it such a powerful album, whether you're talking about civil rights or racial injustice, poverty, violence, all of those things, sadly are still highly topical and relevant. And I'm wondering if these were things that you were reflecting on as you were reworking the material.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard not to. I mean, even if the stuff wasn't relevant today, what he was saying back then is worthy of being discussed now. You know, the messages the themes they were touching on back then are worthy of being discussed now. But, you know, as I've had this discussion, and a few of us have with a bunch of different people, is like you can, if you squint your eyes and your ears just a little bit, everything he's talking about, it could have been written, you know, over the last couple of years, and it's unfortunate. So,
yeah.
You know, obviously we're doing an instrumental take on it, but yeah, we definitely had to nod to that and take that in, you know, especially even considering some of the wordplay with the title. You know, we're being a little cheeky with Fear of a Brown Planet, as we're called Brownout, but you can't help but kind of you know, see that could have some impact saying that nowadays.
Absolutely. What's going to be your final song here before we send you on your way to 191?
This is Shut 'Em Down.
All right.
And it's a later Public Enemy tune, and we're doing a combination of the original and the Pete Rock remix.
Even better. Thank you so much for being here. This is Brownout live on KXCI. Brownout live from Studio 2A on tour in support of their new album, Fear of a Brown Planet. They'll be at 191 Tool this evening. Thanks so much for coming in, you guys. This is James Brown.
1, 2.